All right, so how might Judge Kavanaugh rule on some of our biggest issues? Today, the nominee told us all where to look.
For 12 years, I've been a judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit. I have written more than 300 opinions and handled more than 2,000 cases. I have given it my all in every case. I am proud of that body of work, and I stand behind it. I tell people, don't read about my judicial opinions, read the opinions.
Ooh, that's a challenge. So if he is confirmed, will he be a strong constitutionalist? Joining me now, senior fellow at the CATO Institute and editor-in-chief of the CATO Supreme Court Review, Ilya Shapiro, is back. What did you make of the confirmation hearing today?
It was the most unusual hearing that I've seen. I've been following this for a while, not as long as Orrin Hatch and Chuck Grassley, but when I tuned in, I couldn't understand what was going on. That hour-rolling filibuster was just bizarre. I don't think it really did the Democrats any favors, but they don't have much to work with.
All right, so what should the Democrats be asking Judge Kavanaugh?
Well, if they disagree with his jurisprudence, and that's fine, they can make that case. I've written that if you think that a judge has a radically wrong theory of constitutional or statutory interpretation, that's a valid reason for voting no. So I disagree with Senator Graham on that. But at the end of the day, if you look at his opinions, which are quite readable as far as these things go, I've read quite a number of them, not all 300, but he is a strong constitutionalist. He believes in the separation of powers, and not as an artificial kind of exercise in political theory, but as a defense of liberty. He's very much like his former boss, Justice Anthony Kennedy, in that.
How much, what kind of similarities are there between him and Neil Gorsuch?
I think the pushback on the administrative state, meaning the executive branch, the regulatory agencies that take a law from Congress and read in all sorts of things and write their own rules, and judges have been deferring to them in various ways. And Kavanaugh has said, look, it's the job of a judge not to allow an agency to go off on a frolic and detour and really interpret the statute and hold the bureaucrats' feet to the fire. That's how we'll start kind of getting back to rebalancing the powers, as Senator Ben Sasse gave us in that civics lecture. It was quite entertaining today.
All right, so let me ask you about that, because, you know, you're talking about Chevron deference, and that's not necessarily deferring to those bureaucracies, but that's different than executive supremacy. And that's the worry of some Kavanaugh critics, is that he would embolden the presidency too much.
You're right. That's different. It's in the context of the president doing certain things, and you have to look at national security versus domestic things. Courts generally separate those things out. And in terms of a president getting indicted or being subject to subpoena, absolutely. And Kavanaugh, I think, his thinking on this has evolved as he's served. Was part of the investigation of Bill Clinton, and then served under Bush, and then now lately has been saying that, well, maybe Clinton was distracted from pursuing Osama bin Laden because he had to deal with this civil suit. So it's kind of a nuanced thing, and it's hard to speculate because you don't know what the exact legal issues would be, even if it's Bob Mueller, his investigation going after Trump.
And you know, the big worry with every potential Supreme Court justice is that they offer one ideology and one view of the Constitution, but then later flip. How do you ensure that that doesn't happen?
I don't think that's happened in a while. I mean, he has a paper trail that's very long. He is clearly a textualist, clearly an originalist of some sort, and you can have debates within that.
As much as Gorsuch?
A different flavor, a different flavor. He's a little cagier, so I would put him somewhere between Roberts and Gorsuch, somewhere on, he's, dealt with administrative agencies, a voice about that. And he's not the one thing we have to remember, he's not a Trumpy judge, whatever that means. I mean, a president.
I don't know what that means.
A president.
I don't know what that means, but I think the way the president picks Supreme Court judges is very different than the way he operates on Twitter. And I think
that's right. I think the Federalist Society should be put in charge of the rest of the government. It would function a lot better.
Well, we shall see. It just might happen. Ilya Shapiro, thank you so much.
My pleasure.